Thank you so much, Nelta. First of all, congratulations for this wonderful think-in event that Nelta has sort of started. It's kind of a very good opportunity for us and like-minded organizations to actually come and share what they've been doing and what they would suggest in terms of how to manage education in terms of this crisis. And hopefully the ideas and working strategies that come out of this 3 days, hopefully it's going to be very useful for the government, not just the government actually, all like-minded organizations that are working to meet the objectives of education for Nepal. My colleague in the last session actually said, Dr. Darshana, we, in March, we at British Council were also given lemons. It was a big surprise, and we actually had a very, very short time to make lemonade out of it. And we really had to come up with quick strategies to be able to make a good and delicious lemonade, something that we weren't prepared for. I mean, remote working was completely new as a concept for Nepal. We never knew that it would work. We never knew that the market was ready for it, because all that we thought worked in Nepal was face-to-face activities. So coming up with these remote ideas, it was quite a big struggle. However, I think I would be proud to say on behalf of British Council that because of the various activities that we had done in other countries around the world, we had tried and tested ideas that we could kind of draw on from and use it in the context of Nepal. So it required a bit of contextualization, but I think it's these well thought about strategies and tried and tested ideas that we have from other countries that we were able to use. So in my presentation today, I'm going to share some of the stuffs that we have been doing in the past 5 months and the way we have been able to continue our activities so that we can engage all our stakeholders as effectively as possible. So I'm going to kind of share all these ideas with you all. And of course, if there is anything that you all would want me to talk about in more detail, please feel free to put them down as questions at the end. So in terms of our priorities for English and education, of course, that doesn't change. Our activities, our projects and everything that we do in collaboration with the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, of course, is sort of our principles behind that is what we believe is that good English teaching helps people to study and work and not just develop their careers and confidence, but also develop a good network so that they can collaborate. We also believe that young people should have the opportunities to enhance their skills, their knowledge, and again, like I said, the networks. For us, networks and community involvement and these collaborations are very important in all the work that we do. So our priorities before COVID, post-COVID, I mean, that doesn't change. But what changes is our strategies through which we are able to meet these priorities for the British Council. Talking about the current context, I mean, we know due to the COVID crisis, millions of students across the country have been deprived of their right to education. I mean, if you look at the recent UNESCO report that was recently out, it states that about 89% of children worldwide are deprived of education at the moment. And the 20 odd 15, 16% of students are actually belonging to these urban societies and rich and developed countries. And those 89% is where our children are also based. I mean, as a result of that, I mean, British Council, we have had to adapt our ways of working because we kind of had to change literally over a week's period, come up with adaptation plans for all of our projects. When the crisis started, we had about 3 big projects running currently, all in partnership with the government and also in partnership with other organizations and were funded. So for example, we had a big project that we called LTEP, which we were working with very closely with CHRD, which dealt with training English language teachers from grade 6 to 8. We had another big project that was running called Connecting Classrooms, co-funded by DFID, which is now FCDO. We had another big project called EDGE, which worked in 4 4 districts across the country and 4 districts in different states, which dealt with adolescent girls, and we were helping them develop their English and digital skills. So all of these beneficiaries, they belonged to rural communities. But overnight, I mean, over a week's period, we had to come up with adaptation plans because we had to continue our activities. We had no opportunities for anything to do face-to-face. And because the closures happened sort of really quickly, and all our British Council offices in every country were actually closed, we were actually told from the headquarters that we can't continue any face-to-face activities until September, and now which has moved until March next year. So we know until March 2021, we are not allowed to do any face-to-face activities, and everything has to move remotely. So, you know, we kind of had to really come up with plans. So what we started with was kind of a mini access audit that we did with our project beneficiaries. In the back of our heads, we knew that online is not the solution for everyone. So, but we needed to find out how the access, what in terms of access, what is the most suitable access to be able to reach out to our beneficiaries. So we kind of did a mini access audit with all our project beneficiaries, which means our head teachers, the teachers, and the students that we directly deal with. And some of the results that came up, some were, some sort of we knew about it, but some kind of were shockers. So I've kind of brought a couple of data which probably would be helpful for all of you. I mean, these data is not the nationwide results, okay? What you have to understand is this is based on our beneficiaries. So in a total, we have about, if I join up all our project beneficiaries, probably a couple of thousands. So what we kind of realized, what we found out from that access audit was that only 48% of our teachers actually had Wi-Fi access, but 70% of them used their mobile data. So kind of a relief. That was kind of giving us an understanding of whether we'll be able to do online activities with them. The next thing that we found out was that 41% of teachers had laptops, but 88% of them had an access to a smartphone. So again, we were kind of thinking of, this was kind of hinting at activities that teachers could actually do on their phones and not depend on laptops. The next thing that we found out was that just 3% of our students that we dealt with had Wi-Fi access, I mean, which was shocking. We thought it would be a little more than that, but it was just 3%. And 35% of them had access to a smartphone. So probably it was either their parents or their brothers or sisters or some relative who had an access to a smartphone. The other thing we found out was that 91% of students have access to a radio, still not 100%, which is again quite a shocker. So just 91% of students had access to radio and 42% had access to TV. Now, after we got this data, something that we realized was that, hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, so what we kind of realized was that we really couldn't depend on one mode of delivery. We had to think about different ways to be able to reach out to different beneficiaries that we had. And this made actually our work even more difficult because we now were short of time. If we have to adapt all our face-to-face materials to meet all of these different modes of delivery, then we really didn't have the time to do it, but we had no choice. We couldn't just depend on online or just depend on the radio because we saw that the data was not allowing us to do that. Because another thing that, something that British Council that we are very, very committed to is inclusion. In all of our activities and all of the projects and all of our work, we need to ensure that we have taken inclusion into consideration. So we couldn't do activities that actually leave out a huge part of the beneficiaries. So we had to.
Excuse me, Ms. Vaishali Pradhan, you have 5 minutes to go. Please go on. Thank you.
So yeah, we had to use all of these. I'm quite surprised with the time, but that's okay. So yeah, let me just quickly take you through it. So yeah, a couple of these, we had to kind of use everything. So what we did was we kind of took radio, and I've given you a couple of numbers there. So what we did was we created English radio lessons as mapped to the grade 6 to 8 curriculum. And these went out on the radio. So we partnered with Cambridge University Press and Teach for Nepal. So these radio lessons are up on the radio. We also used various wraparound tasks around these radio lessons so that we could reach it out to our beneficiaries. We also used online for sure, but these were more targeted to the people who had access. And the sessions that we did, we made sure that they were accessible by the phone, so they didn't really need a laptop to access them. And we kind of were able to reach out to quite a number of teachers as well. The next thing that we did was we did a lot of telephone support and SMS. So we have created a huge database of SMS tasks that we sent out to our teachers and our students related to English. They were English activities, which the students and the teachers could then reply back to our trainers via SMS, and kind of we could test the knowledge of English as well. So we used a lot of one-to-one telephone support as well. So when the radio lesson went out, on the next day, our trainers would call the students and the teachers to ask them whether they listened to the radio and whether they needed support to answer the questions. So there were a lot of support that was going on. We also did a lot of print materials, and a part of this was our Teach app. I don't know if you all have downloaded this app. Please do. A whole lot of teaching materials and learning materials in that app, which we ensure that all our teachers use it. And this doesn't really require Wi-Fi connection, so a very useful offline tool. The next thing we kind of did was created a lot of these print materials, which were free and downloadable. I've put down the website there as well. Some were targeted for governments. I put down some titles there, which probably would be useful for y'all, which y'all could easily download and use it. So these were stuffs that we kind of have done. A couple of things that I wanted to share about our future plans. Linking it to Nick's session yesterday about delivery, device, and document. I mean, again, that's the kind of approach we've used. We're hoping to come up with a lot of listening materials in the form of audio stories, and again, wraparound tasks, more radio lessons, self-learning packs that will go out and be distributed to students so that they can use them as reading materials, audiovisual materials, which will be uploaded on SD cards and again distributed to our beneficiaries so that they can use in any low-ended mobile phones. And a recent one that is coming up is we are partnering with the Kauswati municipality in Nawalparasi to kind of train up all the teachers in the municipality by using all of these remote deliveries and remote stuff that we have planned. I mean, I think in the future, what we're looking for is, because all these materials are already created, if there would be other organizations that would be willing to partner with us, or municipalities that are interested to own these and take up. And I think British Council is looking for such partnerships so that we can take this forward and help the municipality kind of ensure that education is still reached out to our students, because we kind of train up teachers to do one-to-one support with the students and use all of these various tools so that ensuring equity, I mean, all the students of each municipality can actually do some sort of learning, even in such crisis. So, I mean, in the future, I think that's kind of what we are aiming for interest to kind of come up from different organizations so that we can take this forward together. If you would want to know any particular details about any particular of these tools, I will be more than happy to share it during the Q&A session. I'd like to end there then.
Thank you, Vaishali ji.